My name is Nicola Harris. I'm the Manager for Professional Practice for Speech Pathology Australia. I'd like to welcome Anna Pannuzzo from WorkPlacePLUS, and today we're going to be talking about contracts. So Anna, welcome. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you.
I know that we have a lot of members who call Speech Pathology Australia to talk about contracts, and one of the things that we recommend is that they have a signed contract when they start work. Can you talk a little bit about why it is so important that there is a signed contract?
Yes. Thanks, Nicola, for the opportunity. In terms of contracts, anyone who works with an employer, whether they are an employer or a contractor, should have a contract that they first see and then sign. The importance is that it also manages the duty of care and clarifies each individual's responsibilities, the owner of the business, the employer, and the employee and the contractor. It also outlines any duties that they've and responsibilities that the employee has, and understands what are some of the most important things that they'll need to adhere to whilst they're employed, the first initial 6 months, the first 12 months. Without doing that, it causes a risk of, were they an employee? Are they covered for insurance? Are they covered for work cover? So it's also managing both sides' risks for both employer and employee.
Absolutely, vitally important, I think. So if you have a signed contract, can you get out of the signed contract once you have that agreement between the two parties?
Not without an agreement. So if you try to get out of a contract, it would be seen as breach of contract.
Right.
So if you want to try and be released, which I use the word, released from a contract, you need to go to that employer who issued you the contract and negotiate a release. That's not easy. You need advice to do that. I wouldn't do that without advice.
And I think probably that's a good time to remind everybody that if you are a Speech Pathology Australia member, that they can come to WorkPlacePLUS for some advice before they sign a contract and after.
Yes, correct. Yeah. The only other thing that I probably want to say to that is that when they are signing the contract or when they receive the offer, it doesn't stop them from speaking to the employer about anything that's on there for clarification. They can come to me for WPP, or they can also speak to the employer. And the employer likes that. They see that they've taken some initiative to understand each of the clauses. Some of those contracts can be 10 pages. So there's nothing that prevents anyone doing that. And it's a really good way to start having a dialogue with your employer.
Fantastic, thank you. So what sort of things could a new graduate expect to see in a contract for the first time?
So it'd have things like the commencement date, it'd have the relevant award that they're being paid under, what the classification is, the hours of work, if there's a cessation date, like for instance if they're a 2-year employee because they're replacing someone who's going on leave, which they would call that a fixed term contract, so there might be a cessation date. It would also have things like if there's a performance review, if there's intellectual property, a restraint of trade, what the period of probation or trial period is, and generally there would also be an attached position description which would outline what their duties and responsibilities are, and it might also include some key performance indicators that the employer would be looking at to measure the employee for the first 12 months.
Fantastic. I think there's certainly a great deal there that's part of a regular contract, and I think that's important to understand. And again, just a good reminder to get some advice if people don't know what's in their contract or don't understand clauses in it.
Yes. The only other thing I would say is just don't sign it without reading it. That's been a lot of my experience. So have a read, talk to someone, just don't sign it.
Fantastic. That's great advice. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Thanks, Nicola.